Hello gorgeous ones, so welcome to my studio. This officially was the weed room in my house, and then I decided it was time to turn it into a music and art studio. So as you can see, here's some art that's in progress. I've been taking my old paintings and just redoing them. So you can find me on Twitch. I'll be doing lots of creative stuff on there, Psyberfairy. So I wanted to talk about how I found my unique expression, because I feel like it was not an easy road. This is something I've talked about before on YouTube, but I thought, you know what? It's time to tell Instagram. So I'll talk about my music path and my writing path and my art path, and hopefully this will be illuminating for you. And I hope you guys are doing well during this quarantine. I've had days of utter ecstasy and then just complete depression. I think we're having to face a lot of stuff that we've been hiding from, you know, and it's like, oh, now I have to actually be with myself. There's a lot of retrogrades right now, and we have 3 eclipses coming up, so lots of shifts. Just breathe and know your DNA is being upgraded. Go into the sun. Be present, you know what I mean? If you want spiritual advice, go to my YouTube, Christina Martin. Okay, so let's talk about my writing first. I always thought I was a writer. I was always good with words. I'm like, oh, I'm a Libra, I'm a wordsmith. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna write books. And instead of going out to parties and stuff with my friends, I was super nerdy and I stayed home on the computer a lot. And I wrote novels. And I wrote many different novels before one was actually good. And you can find them on Amazon, Christina Martin. I spent years and years writing to get better, right? And it just happened through persistence. You have to be willing to suck as an artist in order to get better. If you're afraid of failure or mistakes, right, you're never gonna grow. I remember when I used to paint, I would make a mistake and think my whole project was ruined, and I would cry for days, and I would have freaking freakouts, right? And like burn my canvases and like be very dramatic. And so you don't want to fall into that trap. Creating art, creating anything really teaches you about life, teaches you non-attachment, teaches you that everything is impermanent, everything is in flow. You can't really grasp onto anything. With art, I went to art school for a year and then I dropped out because I didn't really like it. And then I just kept doing it by myself. I just kept painting, I just kept going. And to find your own style, like to find your own unique expression, sometimes you gotta look to other people. You gotta role model people and then kind of, you know, see what works until you find your own expression. So modeling people is a wonderful way to figure out what you like, right? And when it comes to creating something, honestly, there's so much freedom. It's sometimes difficult to get grounded and be like, okay, well, what do I actually want to put into this world? As an artist, you almost have an obligation to watch what you say, right? When you start to become more known, because you do have a voice, right? And you can affect people with that voice. But you can't fall too far in people pleasing, because then you're not going to make the art that you want to make. So here's another tip. Make the art that you want to make. Literally, I make art for me. If other people like it, cool. I'm doing it because it makes me feel good. It opens my heart. Consciousness is moving through me, right? Don't make art for other people. Don't make art to feed your ego. Don't make art to make money. It will never come out right. You will never be satisfied. I used to spend a lot of time thinking about what kind of art I wanted to make, what kind of genres, what kind of, you know, styles and stuff. And ultimately, when you sit down at the canvas or when you sit down at the computer or whatever, you just have to tune in and be like, you know, what fills me with joy right now? And let that out, right? Just follow your joy and it will ultimately turn into something beautiful. You don't have to think so much about what you're doing, right? The masterpieces will flow out of you if you're in the moment and you're present and you're actually allowing yourself to receive. And so as an artist, we have this delicate dance, right, of Shiva Shakti all the time, because we have to have that awareness, we have to have that planning, but we also have to be in the unknown. We actually are channeling from beyond us, right? And moving that information through into the world to know about consciousness, to help other people learn about what consciousness is. And so art actually helps us learn about what we are, and it affects people's consciousness. It changes people's perspectives. Art for me is so psychedelic. Music, art, everything. It just opens my mind to more of our possibilities and what we are. Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't take things too personally. I know the other day, literally, I was just obsessing about my art and it wasn't coming out right. Like, it just was not coming out right, and I was just so angry at myself and I was just attaching so much to it. And if you do that, you're really gonna suffer. So my next step of advice would be to let go. That's so easy but so hard. The more you do things because it makes you feel good without attachment to some end goal, the better things will come out. Relax, have fun. When you start aligning with your own truth and you start projecting that frequency, it's like a magnet. The right people will be drawn to you. You won't have to say like, oh, I'm a good artist, or oh, look at me, like someone like give me approval, right? You will know that you are worthy of respect because you're offering truth. Lastly, I'll talk about my music, because this has been very heart-wrenching for me as well. So I never knew I was going to do music. I always thought, I'm a writer, I'm an artist. I just put myself in a box, right? And then I was so stoned one day at age like 26, 27, and I fell to the ground, the floor in an apartment I was living, just laughing my ass off. And I was like, I'm gonna make music. I can see to the future. And I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I'd only played violin and like guitar a little bit, recorder, you know, when I was younger. I didn't really have an ear for music, like I didn't understand notes and music theory and all that, but I was determined and I was like, okay, I'm gonna teach myself Ableton, and it took me years to figure out everything, and my editing was really horrible. I had no idea what things were called. I didn't know what hi-hats and stuff were called, you know, I just was like tinglings or whatever. And when I first started making music, I would actually like get stoned, let's be honest, and I would listen to songs and I would pick out the individual parts, and because I didn't even know what they were called, I would just draw them out, and then I would try to recreate with loops at first before I did MIDI and stuff. I would just you know, try to recreate the sound, the images in my mind. So everyone has such a unique path. I didn't make the best music when I was younger, obviously. I didn't know about mixing and everything like that, and it was just a cacophony of sound instead of a symphony, a beautiful symphony, which I would like to think that I'm heading toward. And people told me I sucked, and I was like, oh no, I don't know what to do. And I just hit so many plateaus, right? And I fell into depressions, and I was like, you know, this is the only thing I want to do, and I can't do it. I want to freaking die right now. And just that feeling of I can't do what I want to do weighed on my heart. But we have to, my stomach, we rise out of this, right? When these feelings come up, we just have to sit with them, and we actually have to face them. Fear can only exist when we run from it, right? Then it's real. When we actually go into these feelings, they start to dissipate, and it's totally okay to ask for help. It's difficult healing trauma, right? It's difficult healing things that come up, right? When you're actually finding your expression, when you're exploring these inner realms, it's okay to ask for help. And I took different courses on singing. I was like, okay, you know what? I gotta find my voice. I actually gotta find my power. I took a course with Simrit. She's a spiritual teacher, singer, and she's all about Nada yoga, the yoga of sound. I started studying about Sufi mysticism, about how they believe that our body is this beautiful instrument for the spheres in heaven, and it's not so much that we're creating this music, right? We're channels for the divine. We don't create the breath that we breathe, so how can we be responsible for anything after? Once again, don't take things too personally, right? You're an instrument for the divine. Open your heart, open your chakras, allow the energy to flow. You have the power. I took some online courses, one with Armin van Buuren. He's amazing. Helped me get inspired, right? Get back into my production, and just learning with instruments, learning how to sing with instruments, doing things that I really love to do. I love Jeff Buckley, so I learned his songs, and everything just starts to flow. And so if you really want to find a way to express yourself, and you want to just be authentic, right? And be seen. We all just want to be seen. We want to be loved. We want to be seen. Work on seeing yourself. Work on loving yourself. Ask yourself, what makes me happy? Not what's popular, not what like other people will like. What makes me happy? Okay, well, I don't know, I like fantasy worlds, I like fairies, I like aliens, I like psychedelic shit. That's what I'm gonna put into the world, you know? Just be yourself. Be yourself. Be yourself. Just be yourself. And know that you are eternally guided. Don't be afraid to ask for help from the higher forces, from your own heart. Tune into yourself. And I'm sending you lots of love from cyberspace.